Hey guys, today I thought we'd go through and set up a home lab for Skype for Business and also introduce things like SIPgate to connect out to PSTN and also an IPPBX, a FreePBX, so we can create calls between two phone systems. So I just wanted to go through and quickly explain what we've got set up here. So I've actually set up an account with sipgate.co.uk here in the UK. So we can create a SIP trunk then to our FreePBX. PBX, that's him. I'm actually using asterisks for this. And then we're going to create a SIP trunk connection between the FreePBX and Skype for Business. So nothing crazy. We've got a single server here for Skype for Business. We've co-located the mediation server on there as well. We've actually created another VM with asterisks, a FreePBX, and that's all sort of set up with an IP address and ready to go. And we've obviously created an account then with SIPgate, and we've actually got a local rate number, an 01495 number here in the UK. So there's lots of tutorials out there telling you how to do this, and every time I seem to follow one, something goes wrong or something wasn't explained correctly. So I just thought that I'd go through, create my own video that would help me explain how I've set up my home lab. And by no means is this best practices at all. This is just purely for playtime at home and understanding, connecting different things together. So let's go through and start setting up a SIP trunk to SIPgate. So I've logged on to asterisk here, FreePBX. I've typed in my IP address. We need to go down to connectivity and trunks. We need to set up a new SIP trunk. And then let's give it a name. So SIPgate. I've done this before. We've got an outbound caller ID of this 01495 number. And there's a few details that we need to put in here. So outgoing settings, you need to put in the trunk name. So for this one, we'll put SIPgate. Peer details. Now, you need to put in specific settings for this, for your SIP trunk provider. So what I'm going to do is cheat basically and copy and paste some details I've got here. So there's some important bits I'd like to share with you guys. So you need to make sure that you've got, obviously your username, TCP enabled is no, transport is UDP, type is peer, you've put in the correct password, and then make sure you've got, scroll down too fast there, qualified yes, NAT, insecure very, make sure you've got some host details. And what I'll try and do is put a Word document together that you guys can download and actually make sure that you have all of this material in one place and you can reference that back. So make sure you've got all those details and it's all correct. User details we're going to remove altogether. And most important bit is this register string. So we need to type in, or in my case, copy and paste the string from here. Yeah. Which is the username colon password at sipgate.co.uk/username. So let's submit those changes. And you'll notice at the top here we've got to apply config. So nothing's going to happen until we hit that button. Okay, so now that's completed, let's head over to PuTTY for a second. So what I'm going to show you guys is how to check whether that's working or not. So it doesn't, well, it does say in the GUI, but there's some debugging bits that we can do actually in the CLI here. So I'm going to log on as root. I'm going to use the password that I used when I actually set up asterisks. And it's taken me in there. We're going to type in *R. So take us to the administration, the CLI. And we're going to type in show SIP peers. Or SIP show peers. I always get that wrong way around. So let's maximize this. Let's just run the command again so we can see it full screen. So you can see that we've got a username here and the name of the trunk, the IP address of the host, and some other bits and bobs here, including a very special port, 5060, and making sure that the status is okay. And it's got a latency of 32 milliseconds even. It's not bad. It's not bad for my broadband connection. We can also show enhanced debugging as well by typing in this command, which is sip set debug on. And what you'll see live then, when there's a communication, you'll see it pop up on the screen. Obviously this is a live demo, so we need to wait for some things to happen here. But you'll be able to see clearly the conversation between both ends and help you with some troubleshooting. Here we go. So these are the connections back and forth to our SIP trunk. Okay, let's minimize that. What we'll do is head over and create an extension. We're going to choose a generic device and submit that. User extension. So we're going to use 300 for our extension on the FreePBX. Display name, let's call that Graham. We've got a use case. There's some other settings down here we need to change. So this secret, I can't remember that. Way too long. Let's change it to QWERTY 12. Also make sure, this has caught me out a couple of times, there's a capital. I've tried typing it in lowercase and then you get some spurious errors when you try and connect a client to it. So keep that in mind, guys. I'm going to scroll down. So there's lots and lots of information here. I'm going to create a new user. So it'll create one that's called Graham. Scroll down and we can submit that. Again, apply config. That's saved. Right, let's pop over to our client over here. So I'm just going to show this. It's just a small client that we can use to test calls in between our FreePBX and Skype for Business. So we're just going to pop into settings, create a new account. It's going to be SIP. User is going to be our extension number, and then the IP address, or at the IP address of our FreePBX system. And our lovely password, QWERTY12. No need to put anything in the domain. Next. Next. And your account has been added, and it doesn't really say on here, but we can say it is working. And I'll show you that in a moment. If it wasn't, then we get all sorts of errors. But just wanted to show, if we pop in a putty again, we'll be able to see any issues, if there were any. And you can see down the bottom, receive SIP, subscribe with peers without mailbox 300. So if there's any problems, we'll be able to see it quite clearly there. Right, now that's set up and we've actually got our little client working here, we can create an inbound trunk. So let's go to connectivity, inbound routes, give it a description, let's call it PSTN inbound. DID, which is direct inbound, should match the username in this case for your SIP gate. Traditionally, I guess that it should be your caller ID number. So think of it like that. So your telephone number, but this is going to be your username here. If you put the wrong number in there, or you. So in the DID number should be your username for SIPgate. So that's your direct inbound, and you just should also create or select the route. In this case, we're going to do extensions to extension 300. We're going to submit and apply the config for that. So now I can go to my phone that you guys can't see. Just bring up the client here. I'm going to ring the number. It should go through SIP-gate and then connect very nicely to the client on here. Here we go, and there's my call. So we've got a successful connection now from outside PSTN inbound to our FreePBX. So next we're going to have to go and set up our gateway on Link. So let's pop over to Link. Again, this is a single server. So what we can do is go over to our topology builder under mediation pools and edit the properties. Make sure that you've got TCP port enabled and the TCP port is 5060. Now, you could change that port number from 5060 to something else, and it will appear that your lab is working fine, but if you choose a different port number, you'll find you'll only get one-way communications. Not only just for voice, so it may work from Skype for Business or from the FreePBX to Skype for Business, but not the other way around, and you also only get voice one way round as well. So make sure that these port numbers are correct in your lab environment. It's okay that. Let's go down to PSTN gateways. New PSTN RIP. A fully qualified name. Unfortunately, I've not at this time set this up in DNS. So what I'm going to do for the time being is just type in the IP address of the FreePBX system. We're going to use all IP addresses. We've got a trunk name of that. We've got a listening port of 5060, remember. Should be TCP 5060. Looks good. Let's finish that. And we're also under trunks now. We can see that we've got a trunk with those settings that we just put in. So let's right click at the top and let's publish the topology. Okay. With that completed, let's just close down the topology builder. Let's jump into the Skype for Business control panel. Now, we'll come back to this in a little second. Let's go over to routing. Do I want to leave the page? Yes, I do. You'll see we've got a dial plan of global. Now what we're going to do is just pop into here. For this lab environment, at the moment, I'm not going to do anything with normalization rules. So we've just got this one rule in here, which is keep all. And that means that we can route things straight out to the FreePBX. So I'll show you how that works in a second. Let's pop over to voice policies, go into global. I've enabled most of the settings here, as you can see. Associated PSTN usages. So we're going to go into new. I'm going to call this one FreePBX. Associated routes. We're going to click on new. FreePBX. We've got a match rule of basically everything. Dot star or asterisk, sorry. And we're also going to add associated trunks, which is the one we just created in the topology builder. And translation number to test. So over on FreePBX, we actually created an extension of 3000. Click go, uses the expression, which works perfectly. Okay, that. Okay, that. And translation number to test. Good. So everything's green. You can see that it matches the FreePBX usage record and also matches the route pattern to go back to the FreePBX. What we can also do is type in an outside number into there. Click on go, and that also matches. So that's fine. What we could do is create a normalization rule just for extension numbers, for example, or we could do quite a number of things actually. Maybe we'll do that in another video. Let's click OK there, and you'll notice that it's uncommitted. Let's click commit and commit all, and OK that. We've successfully published our voice routing configuration. So next, what we need to do is go in and set up a user. So I've already gone through this. So I've created 2 users, but we'll actually be using this Hosking G one here. So if I just edit this, what I've done is add in extension number, a pure extension number of this person. Now, like I said in the very beginning, this is not best practices. You should be using the fully qualified number for this, but for the test we're just going to do tel : and then extension number 7000. And also we've got telephony set to enterprise voice. Let's commit that, and then hop over to my workstation here. I've already set up and logged in to Skype for Business with those details and those credentials. So that is looking good. Okay, next, let's set up a SIP trunk between FreePBX and Skype for Business. So we've already got our SIP gate set up over here. So let's create a new SIP trunk. We're going to call this one Skype for Business. We're going to leave caller ID blank for a moment. We're going to do a match pattern of 7xxx, so it's a 4-digit extension number. We're going to take away these peer details. And we're also going to take away the user details and leave the user string blank. Okay. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to actually put some details in peer details, otherwise it's not going to connect. Not enough coffee this morning. So let's cheat and copy and paste some of the details that I prepared earlier. So I've got the IP address of the Skype for Business server. I've put a transport of TCP and UDP, port of 5060, insecure vary, type is friend, context is from internal, and then some other settings down there that are quite important. I'm going to give it a trunk name, S4B. And then we're going to submit those details. Yeah, it's just going to warn that I've not set an outbound caller ID. That's fine for this lab. And then we're going to apply the config. So what should happen now is I can jump over to my little voice over IP client here, bring up Skype for Business as well, and if I have configured things correctly, I should be able to dial extension 7000, which is on Skype for Business, and it should route the call over to Skype for Business. So let's let that go through a moment. And something's gone wrong. Okay. Service unavailable. Now I can tell you what this is. This is a configuration that I've forgotten to do. So, in Skype for Business, there's some additional settings. Sorry, in FreePBX there's some additional settings that we have to put in. Again, showed you blue milk as well. Okay, so we've gone through, we've typed in the extension number for Skype for Business, and it didn't work. Call cannot be completed. Okay, there's some additional settings that we have to do in our lab environment in order for this to work. So let's bring up WinSCP. And there's some configuration files that we have to change. No, I don't want to upgrade. I'm going to log in with our credentials here. Yep. we need to go to etc asterisk, and then there's a configuration file called sip custom config. Now you'll find that this file is blank, so we'll need to type some details in there, which is TCP enabled equals yes and transport equals TCP. Save that. So once we've done that, we need to restart. And apologies for this, I totally forgot. We need to restart the system, so I'm just going to pause the video a second and we're just going to let this happen. Okay, so we've restarted and my brain's kicked into gear, and there's a couple of things I've done wrong here. Apologies for that. So just going to pop into connectivity trunks and then Skype for Business, and then take out this this dial number rule, because I've actually put it in the wrong place. So I'm just going to save that. Hey, this is a live demo, you know, things can go wrong. Let's pop into connectivity outbound routes. Let's put an outbound route for S4B, Skype for Business. Now let's put the match pattern in of 7xxx, so for our 7000. A trunk sequent match should be Skype for Business, and then submit the changes and apply the config. And I think while we are here, we'll also create an outbound rule for SIPgate. Let's do that. Okay, add a route for SIPgate. We need a match pattern now. This is anything going out to the internet. So we're going to dial 0 for the UK, and then any number between 1 and 9. And then we've got 01 495 741 741. Okay. And then any dial plan that matches that, or any dial pattern, sorry, that match that, go out to SIPgate, and we can apply that. So essentially what we've done is create two outbound routes. One, if you dial an extension of 7000, then go and route to Skype for Business. If you dial anything that says starts with 01 or 019, for example, Cardiff is 02920, then route your call out to SIPgate. So let's try this again. Let's bring up Skype for Business. Let's bring up our client here. And then let's dial extension 7000. Hey, here we go. Now we've got a call. That's good. So we can pick up that call and then close it down. So we've got call going from FreePBX to Skype for Business, and we can do the other way around. So extension 3000, call, and don't know if you can see in the background there, but we've got a call between the two. That's good. Now with the second outbound rule, I should be able to connect out to a number. I don't know whose number this is, so yeah, basically it's coming back and telling me that there's not enough credit on the account, which is good, but we should also be able to do the same in Skype for Business, 014957, and then dial that number. Your account does not have enough credits to make the call, so that's fine. So we can route calls outbound and between the two. Okay, like I said, this is a lab environment, so by no means is this best practices. It's just a way of showing you guys how you can get calls from outside and between two phone systems, including Skype for Business. Now, there's a bit missing, you might think. So we've done calls between phone systems, and we've done calls through Skype for Business, through FreePBX, easy for you to say, out to SIPgate. But you're thinking, okay, So we can have calls inbound to FreePBX, but how do those calls get into Skype for Business? Now, there's a right way of doing this, or there's a way you can cheat. So what we could do is, if we go into FreePBX, if we go to admin and feature codes, you can do a call forward all active to an extension on Skype for Business. So this is just a cheating way of getting inbound calls to Skype for Business. So we can go over here, we can do star 72 and extension 7000. Call that second, set him up. So basically what's going to happen is any calls coming inbound will then be forwarded to extension 7000, which resides on Skype for Business. So if I call this number again from my other phone that you can't see, inbound, if I've done it right, here we go. There's a call from my mobile. So that's one way of doing it. Best practices way would be to normalize the telephone number to an extension or an auto attendant. Obviously, I don't have lots of direct dial numbers that I can put to extensions, so we've just got the one number, and then we can normalize that to an auto attendant or an extension on Skype for Business. So that's a quick tutorial. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. Again, we're just playing here, not just best. This isn't best practices, but I'm hope that you find it useful, and we've got everything working. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon.